This is the plaintiff, Greg. He says the defendants were his tenants, and when they moved out, they damaged his beautiful hardwood floors. He had to replace the entire floor because the damage was so bad. They owe him $1,300 for the repairs, and he's suing for just that today. These are the defendants, Rafael de la Cruz and Ingrid Chilito. Rafael says the plaintiff inspected the place when they moved out, and then days later claimed the floors were scratched and demanded money. The scamming landlord is just trying to get them to make his place look better so he can rent it out. They did no damage and owe him nothing. They're accused of flooring a landlord.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says the defendants damaged his beautiful wood floors when they moved out of his place, and he wants some money. But the defendants say the plaintiff inspected the floors when they moved out, and then days later, he's trying to sue them for so-called damages? No way. It's the case of you're flooring me.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Gregg, you're suing your former tenants, Mr. De La Cruz and Ms. Chilito, for $1,300 in repairs to the floor that you say are required because they damaged them. How long did they live there?
2 years.
And they were renting what, a condo?
Yes, a
that
condo.
you own. Okay. Did you do a walkthrough in the condo?
Yes, I walked through and I noticed gashes, about nine gashes on the moldings throughout the apartment, and also a dent in the outside door, metal door frame where you enter.
Okay.
And I didn't really like look at the floor because I just kind of like walked in really fast.
But that's the point of you walking in, is to see how much of the security deposit to return.
Yeah.
So if you're counting 9 gashes, you're not walking in really fast. You're looking at the damage. That's the whole point of you going there, right?
Yeah.
So what happens?
I called him up and I asked him about the gashes, and he agreed that, you know, he made the gashes and he was going to pay for that. And I asked him how the floor was. You know, he said,
wait,
excellent.
why are you asking him how the floor is? You were just there with your eyeballs.
Well, I didn't really I kind of, when I walked through, I didn't really notice.
So why would you ask though, if he and you both know that you were just there? Why would it naturally, hey, by the way, how are the floors? That's a weird thing to bring up if you were just there.
Well, I just met him in front of the building, like, because I don't live there, and I
to give him the security deposit.
Yeah, I want.
Right. So you deducted how much, and then gave him the rest. How much did you deduct?
I deducted $600
for the damages that you just described, and then you give him the rest, and then 2 days later you go back to the apartment. When do you notice this additional damage that you hadn't deducted for?
On the 7th, I came in the apartment and I started cleaning, and then I was on my hands and knees, and then that's when I noticed the scratches and the gashes all over the place.
So then let's talk about what happens. You end up contacting them and saying what about the floors?
I told him that the floors there's scratches all over the floors. And he agreed to the scratches, that he made them. And I said, I asked him, could you give me some of my money back? Because I made a mistake, and I believed him when he said the floors were excellent, because he claimed to be a Christian. And
okay. I don't know that it matters whether you are Christian or not Christian. The issue is you are a landlord who went in there for the specific reason of figuring out if there are damages. You found a bunch of damages. Why don't you just be honest and say, I didn't get down on my hands. I have no idea if it was scratched then, because I just didn't do my job right by making sure. You know, that's an issue, because then it's 2 days later. I don't know who's been in there for those 2 days. You're going to tell me nobody, but how do we know? And when you were there and supposedly doing this deep cleaning, did you have a ladder? I have no idea. So when's the first time you hear Mr. De La Cruz that he's complaining about the floors? How do you hear?
So I hear basically 2 days later, after he gave back the security deposit. So he gave the security deposit and said October 5th. On October 7th, he sent me a text saying that there were some damages on the floors. He believed me because we were having a conversation outside when when he gave us back the security deposit and told him the floors. I took very good care of his floors.
So he did ask you, how are the floors?
He asked me way before he gave me the security deposit. And I told him that the floors are in good condition because we took care of it.
Okay, but you're talking about a conversation you had outside when he's giving you the security deposit. So when you say way before, is this at the time that he's there to give you the security deposit?
No. He asked me why I was moving out. I told him that we needed more space because of our daughter, that she had Down syndrome. And, we were just happy we bought a house and, just simple conversation. I admitted that there were some gashes on the baseboard, and then also part of the moving that, like with the door that he deducted from the security deposit and he gave back to me.
Right. That had already been discussed prior to that. Then he brings you the security. So how much did you get back?
$2,257.50.
And was there any animosity between you two at that point, or was everything lovey-dovey?
Everything was lovey-dovey at that time.
Okay.
The insults started 2 days later.
Okay.
He said that
Did he say anything about what kind of tenants you were when he was giving you the security deposit?
He said that we were the best tenants that he ever had, that if there was any, letter of recommendation or anything, that he would be more than happy to give.
All right. So then what happens is you start getting texts about the damage to the floor, correct?
Correct. So he starts texting me with showing pictures of basically hairline scratches on an area where I normally had basically an office, my computer setup. So unbeknownst to me, probably it was the chair that I was using. So I asked him, give me an estimate, an honest estimate, written, and I will reimburse you for that area itself. He gave me 3 estimates, no list, no photos, just word of mouth, saying one was $500, other $1,400.
When you say word of mouth, he didn't give you actual physical estimates. He didn't take a picture of an estimate and send it to you. What he said was, one guy said 500, one guy said 1,500, and another one said what?
4,500, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about what happens. Let's look at the text a second, because that's what I really want to.
They also, I realized that they were throwing like wet towels on the floor too. What I'm saying is he didn't care, and he just didn't care. He broke the tracks on the closet doors.
Okay, we're not talking about that because you already collected your money on that and he didn't fight you on that. We're talking about only one thing, and that's the scratches on the wood floor. That's the subject of this lawsuit. What I'd like to know is, how did the $200 come up? Like, where did that come from?
So basically I told him, for that little small area that he showed me, the prices that he was, that he sent me over was just outlandish. He wanted me basically to replace the whole floor. So for that simple little area that's just hairline scratches, contusion with wear and tear, No, that's not, I disagree with you. I don't think that that's wear and tear. Wear and tear is wear and tear. Damage is damage. That's damage. But all right. So he's in the many texts, at some point he notices the floor. I found these scratches near the big window in the living room after I gave you your deposit back. I don't know what to do. It looks horrible. I have to get this fixed. I asked you if you damaged the floor and you said no. I believed you, especially because you told me you were a Christian. You were not truthful. Then he says, it's so depressing seeing my floor like that. I gave you your deposit back. I have a company coming. The next day says, I have a company coming on Tuesday to try and repair scratches. Then on the 13th, several days later, he says, I got 3 estimates. One company said 500. Another said 1,600. Another said 4,500. They are all written offers except the 500. You respond, that's a little steep for a 2x2 area that has a hairline scratches. I'd like to see those estimates. I think you want to charge me to redo the whole apartment. They cannot fix one spot. They have to sand the entire floor. I guess you were getting a really good deal for the sanding of the whole floor. What do you want to do? How much are you willing to give me for the damage? To which he responds, for that spot, 100, 200 tops. And you say, give me 200 today. So exactly.
Why were you saying to him, give me 200 today? That sounds like you're settling things with him.
No, I didn't settle. He said all he was going to give me was 200. So I said, give me the 200.
Yeah, but he's saying the most I'm willing to give you is 100 or 200. And then your response verbatim is give me 200 today. You don't think that's an offer of settlement and your response to it saying, okay, give it to me today? And then you guys have settled how much he's going to contribute to the floors, and then you turn around, go to court and sue him anyway? Did you give him the 200, Mr. De La Cruz?
I did. I sent him that same day a Zelle because I was at work. I wasn't able to go to the bank itself to make the deposit. So I sent him electronically $200, which he never accepted.
And then what happens?
So then he says that, he starts insulting me, saying that I'm a creep. I am, I will never be blessed by God. Mostly about my daughter, that we're untruthful.
What did he say about your daughter?
That we will never be blessed by God.
I'm sure your daughter is a blessing, but yes. I guess you felt that that's what he was referring to. I mean, it's a nasty text. Let's read it. You and your wife are sneaks and will not be blessed by God, damaging people's property and not admitting to it. You are no Christian. You're a fraud. You did more damage in my apartment than all of the tenants I rented to over the years, and you fooled by acting like a friend. You are two creeps and the worst tenants I ever had. You'll get your just rewards from God. My life's work is invested in my condo, and you did damage throughout my condo. I will never forget you two for all the damage you did, you, my beloved home. Remember, karma, what comes around goes around. Ms. Chilito, is there anything that you wanted to add about the floors or this text back and forth or anything that they said, or not really?
Not really. It's like we agreed to the damage of the floor, and at the end we paid the 200.
How did you end up paying it? Because he didn't accept the Zelle payment. So how did you end up paying it?
I went to the bank and deposited the 200 into his
account. So here is the receipt for the 200. You did receive the 200, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have a couple of problems to be able to successfully obtain $1,300 more from him. You have three problems. Number one, according to your own estimates, it's not $1,300. That's the middle estimate. You got a guy who'll do it for $5,000, and yet you're suing for triple that. Number two, you have a proof problem, which is that you do a walkthrough and you notice nothing, and then it's not until several days after they've left that you notice something. But you got to prove that it was there when they left, that they did it, and that's a problem. But you have a third, much bigger problem, which is this here. What do you want to do? How much are you willing to give me? That's an offer of settlement. Mm-hmm. For that spot, 100, 200 tops. That's his offer to you. And here's your answer. Give me 200 today. And he does try to give you 200 today because I can see the Zelle attempt on that day that he sent it to you. And all you had to do was register and get it. You just chose not to because you're looking even more carefully and you're looking even more carefully. And then you're finding more stuff and you're getting madder. Who knows if maybe you didn't look carefully when the last tenant left and that was there. We don't know because you keep finding new stuff and new stuff. And when you have a settlement like this, that is what we call in the law accord and satisfaction. You've settled it. They agree they make an offer, you agree to it, you take it, you can't then turn around after agreeing to that, and he paid it the same day on Zelle, then you don't accept it on Zelle, so they just deposit it into your account, which is smart. If you agree to this agreement, you can't turn around and then just take the 200, but also sue. It's obvious that this was a settlement. So based on that, I am finding in favor of the defendants.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the judge finds for the defendant in this case. Greg, the plaintiff, is not going to get the $1,300, the additional money that he's been seeking. Greg, what do you think about this?
He vandalized my apartment. He damaged the floor intentionally. I mean, no regard, didn't protect the floor. He moved his furniture out and left gashes and scratched all over the floor. No one should rent to this guy. You
heard what the judge said. You worked out an agreement, you accepted it, and that's it. So you're kind of stuck. You don't get anything more. All right, Mr. De La Cruz, Ms. Cholito, what do you have to say to all the things he said about you? That you did this willfully, damaged it, on purpose, or at least willfully. You didn't take care of things like you should have. What's your reaction?
It's still shocking to hear him keep on going on it. We took good care of that floor.
Well, it doesn't sound like it from what he had to say. But anyway, you're lucky. you won the case. You don't have to give him any more money. And that's the judge's verdict. All right, good luck to you. Thank you very much. All right, Harvey, the very interesting case. What's your opinion here?
Doug, there's a principle in the law. Basically, you only get one bite of the apple. If you choose to settle the case, which in this case the plaintiff did, you can't then relitigate it and say, well, I wanted more money. That wasn't enough. Once you're stuck, you're stuck.
If a couple are together for 15 years, is that considered common law as husband and wife? And does it vary state by state?
It absolutely varies state by state quite a bit. In fact, there's only maybe a half a dozen or a dozen states in the country that still recognize common law marriages.
And give you legal rights based on that.
I mean, you get a lot of rights and benefits and obligations and potential tax consequences from your marital status. You can inherit, you can get all kinds of things, Social Security benefits from a spouse, etc., that you're not going to get if you have a common law marriage that's not recognized by statute or common law within your state. And the duration of time that it requires to be recognized varies state by state. It might be 3 years in your state that you're together before you get the common law marriage benefits, or it might be a longer period. It's all over.